What's up everyone, this is Armea from Telpay and I'm gonna be making another tutorial for your custom design. But this time, I'm gonna be making for your pumpkin farm, in which I'm gonna show you guys some, definitely I'm gonna draw a pumpkin and I'm gonna show you guys some basic and color combination and how to make it. So without further ado guys, let's get started. So here it is, the finished drawing of the pumpkin pie which I've made, and as you guys can see over here, I put some vines. So I'm gonna show you guys real quick on how to make this. I'm actually planning to put this on my plain wooden shop sign, so it will look nice on my pumpkin farm. So first things first guys, make sure to prepare your color palette. Never make a figure of the pumpkin or any other the basic shapes. Never ever do that at the moment. Make sure to prepare every color palette you need, from shadows, midtones, and highlights. So in that way you will work much more faster and much more efficient. As you guys know already that Nintendo has their own custom palette, so the one that I use on my pumpkin design is the custom palette of Nintendo, and I just tweak it a little bit. I changed some of the colors, in which I added the green color and the brown color. Before you start guys, make sure to have your own reference. As what I did over here, I have my own reference, in which as you guys can see on my screen, in my inventory, I have this pumpkin sprout that I use. So I just try to copy that one as much as possible as I can. And yeah, it doesn't look the same thing because I love to change things up, and I don't really like to really copy it the same way as over there. So I want to have my own version of my design. So yeah, so let's get started guys with making the pumpkin shapes. So what I use to actually make the pumpkin shape is the circle tool, in which it has a solid color already, so it's not hard for you guys. So that's what I use for now, because as you guys know, the pumpkin doesn't have a perfect circle, but it has this round shape. But of course it needs to be imperfect, so it will look much more better. So that's what I use, and I just added, as long as it goes within the radius of the curve of the pumpkin. You guys can do that as well, as you guys can see over here on the screen. So I'm just gonna try to make it quicker a little bit, the process, so you guys can see the whole thing. At first guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that it is okay to make mistake at first try, like I did over here during my gameplay. During making this pumpkin design, I didn't manage to actually check how big I want my custom design for the pumpkin. So yeah, so over here you will see a lot of trial and error, which is completely normal when you're making a design. Even when you are drawing, you always make a trial and error. So yeah. So after you guys decided that it is the perfect shape for your pumpkin design, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick on how to make the stem. Well, this one I kind of have a bit of hard time, to be honest, on how to make it, because it just doesn't look well when it comes to the, when it comes to this inside Animal Crossing. It's always hard because it's always contradicting with different colors. So yes guys, I'm gonna show you guys real quick on how to make it. So as you guys can see over here, before I make the stem, I am just preparing the palette before I make the stem. So this time I'm gonna be using color green, so I'm just picking it manually, and I want to make sure that I have already the shadow, the mid-tone, and the highlight. So I'm just gonna make the process a little bit quicker for you guys. As you guys can see, I'm making quite a lot of mistakes when it comes to making the stem. It just doesn't go well of how I wanted it to be, but it's part of the process. So don't be discouraged if you guys are having a hard time like myself in this video. So yeah, so after you actually made it and you like how it looks, then you can go and start putting the shadows, as you guys can see over here. So before putting the shadows and the highlight, you want to make sure where the light sources are coming from. So as you guys can see, I put the highlights on the right side and I put some of the shadows on the left side. So that means that my light source is on the right upper corner of the screen. And you gotta follow that light source so you will know where the light is hitting and as well where the shadow is gonna come from. So yeah, so in that way, the one that you're creating, the design that you're creating will be much more alive and it will look nice for your pumpkin farm. So after you made the stem of your pumpkin, now it is time for you to actually put a shadow on your pumpkin. So as you guys can see over here, I'm already putting the shadow, but this time you will notice that because the pumpkin has its curves, it doesn't have like a flawless surface of skin. As you guys can see, it has this line of curves, so you just have to follow those things, create an illusion where the shadow will go for it to look like a pumpkin. So that's what it is, and make sure to actually use a lighter shadow. And also, don't forget to add some little touch on your pumpkin. Try to add a little bit detail. As you guys can see, I am trying to tweak a little bit the shadow of the pumpkin just because I am not that satisfied of how it looks. So you just have to play with it to play which color, not color, I mean how dark the shadow will be. And if you guys like how it looks, you can just like go ahead and pick that kind of darker color for the shadow of the pumpkin. And I'm also putting here some darker shadow for the stem just to make it looks much more better, because I feel like there is something missing on the pumpkin, so I'm just like tweaking it just a little. So the next step will be is adding a highlight for your pumpkin. For the highlights of the pumpkin, you need to pick closest to orange and closest to yellow, somewhere in between, so it will have a better combination of the two colors. As you guys can see, I'm gonna show you guys real quick, and I'm just gonna make the process a little bit quicker. When it comes to adding the highlights, you gotta make sure that you don't get too exaggerated about it, because you can easily ruin the image. So as you guys can see over here, I'm just putting a little bit, but I started first with darker highlights in a way. It's not too bright, and after that I added a little bit brighter just to make it, you know, the light hits on the pumpkin, just to give a little extra detail for the pumpkin to make it look much more better. And you guys can do that as well. But of course, it's really up to you guys. I'm not saying that you guys have to follow what I'm doing over here. It's really up to you. You can make it fairly simple. You don't have to add highlights. Just make sure that you have the basic color and the shadow. It can work perfectly as long as the viewer can understand what the image is all about. So the next one will be, I'm gonna be showing you guys on adding more detail on the pumpkin, in which I'm gonna add some soil and as well some roots from the pumpkin. This one of course is totally optional. You guys don't have to follow it, but I will recommend that if you guys are planning to make your very own pumpkin farm. So this one is fairly simple. I'm just gonna make a soil under the pumpkin, and as well to make some roots from the pumpkin to make it much more nicer. So I'm just gonna make things a little bit quicker for you guys. Just one tip guys, to make it easier and simplify the work that you guys do for the design that you guys are gonna make, especially the pumpkin design. Make sure to follow the step. You gotta make sure first to make the shape of the pumpkin and then add the stem. And the third step is to make the soil and then make the vines of the pumpkin. In that way, it saves time for you guys, because I know very well that before I put the soil, or after I put the soil, I know very well that I'm gonna put the vines over there. But I still make the full image of the soil under the pumpkin. It's way better like that rather than just put the soil and then after that then you add the soil. It's just time consuming, and most of the time it doesn't look good and it doesn't synchronize well with the image. So you gotta make sure to follow the steps. You gotta complete the image first before you add something. But of course, when it comes to drawing, there is always exceptional when to do these things. But with this type of things that you've been doing, like you guys can see what's behind that object, you gotta complete it for it to look like it is over there, to look like it's a proper object or a proper soil that is over there, because you guys can see how the line, where the line goes and how the curve goes, even though there is an object on top of that another object. Once we finish the image that we are creating, which is the pumpkin, and if we plan to actually put it at the wooden shop sign, which I'm going to do, of course, I will recommend to put a background on the image to make the image pop up a little bit more. So I've decided to actually make an outline of it, in which I've added, since the pumpkin has a warm color, which is the orange, and some darker tone, I will recommend the background as a cool color, such as the one that I use over here, which is the yellow, and as well a lighter blue. And so that way the image will look much more better and it will pop up much better and it will be center of attraction for the viewers. And now that your design is done, you can place it on a sign and use it as a decoration for your pumpkin farm on your island. So that's it guys from me. I hope that you enjoyed the video and you found it useful. You can also use this design if you wish to. I will be putting the code on the description. I've also have other designs that I've made that you might like, so feel free to use it. I know that it has been a while since I made an Animal Crossing video, and if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop me a comment of what you'd like me to share next. And if you like this video and you want to see more content, make sure to subscribe to us, and I will be looking forward to seeing you in my next video. And also, to stay connected, join our Discord server, and for streams, you can check our Twitch channel as well. We stream all kinds of games and we'd be more than happy to have you there. So thank you so much everyone, and see you guys next time. Bye bye!